Hi everybody, Joe Cioffi here on this May Day, May 1st, 2018, and starting off right off the bat, I figured I'd show you the radar as of 6 p.m., which is showing a developing line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving across north central Kansas and into eastern Nebraska, even some strong cells extending up into parts of Iowa. This is all part of a rather large area of risk that has been indicated by the Storm Prediction Center. So we'll bring you that view here, and we can also see the latest tornado watch that is up, and it covers a fairly extensive area through all of central Kansas, most of eastern Nebraska, just touching the Missouri border there, and northeast up into parts of southwestern Iowa. So that's a fairly large tornado watch that's being indicated. We have a moderate risk of severe weather, a small area of moderate risk that is showing up in north central Kansas, a larger area of enhanced risk. You can see that extends into southwestern Iowa, and then slight risk going all the way up into southwestern Wisconsin, the marginal risk even up into the upper peninsula of Michigan. Also, by the way, a small area of marginal risk tonight in northeastern Colorado, southeastern Wyoming, and in western Nebraska. So a fairly busy day here for the Storm Prediction Center, and they're going to have a busy day for tomorrow as well. I just want to update the outlook here. Just give me 1 second. I got to get to the day 2 outlook here. The new one, and just let me make sure and see what I have. Let's see if this works, and it does not, so just give me 1 second here. I want to have the absolute latest for you from the Storm Prediction Center, because we are going to have another rough day of severe weather coming up for day 2, which will be day 2. This is for Wednesday, and I'll expand this out, and here we go. Okay, sorry for the delay, but here is the new day 2 outlook, which is for tomorrow, and you can see that there is another area of moderate risk being indicated for parts of northeastern Kansas and in through northwestern Missouri, and then you have the enhanced risk. All right, just give me 1 second here, folks. I'm sorry. Sometimes with the Storm Prediction Center, with what they have up as for day 1 and for day 2, don't often. I'm just getting a little bit confused. I want to make sure that I have the right ones here for you. So let's move this to the top. Okay, so that is correct. So this is today's, and this is the risk going into tomorrow. So that marginal risk extends into the Great Lakes. The slight risk is in through northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and just let me fix the height on this. There we go. So now we can see the whole thing. So you can see it's a fairly large area. Slight risk covers much of central Texas on up through north central Texas, virtually all of Oklahoma into Missouri. Then you've got the enhanced risk in north central Oklahoma, eastern Kansas again for Wednesday, with that moderate risk, northeastern Kansas, northwestern Missouri. The enhanced risk extending into southern Iowa, northern Missouri, slight risk going all the way to Chicago and Milwaukee, and then you have the marginal risk area that is going to be running up into southern Michigan and up into central Wisconsin. So very, very active severe weather pattern that is setting up here for today, what we see currently, and what is going to be happening for Wednesday. Now, why is this all happening? Well, you've got a good, solid upper air system that is getting involved. Here's how it looks on the surface. with low pressure that is developing in western Kansas, the warm sector running up all the way into Iowa and Wisconsin. We're seeing Gulf moisture coming in, the big high off the southeast coast of the United States. So a lot of Gulf of Mexico moisture running into the southern and central plains, and that is triggering off some of the severe weather that we're seeing. Meanwhile, here in the east, with that high where it is, it's really created a spectacular day for my area, southern New England, down through Long Island, New Jersey, and eastern Pennsylvania. There are some clouds in upstate New York and a few showers going on in northeastern New York, and a narrow band that is moving through east central New England. That's all left with that upper low that took its time getting out of the way. Don't have the latest satellite. Here it is. Yeah, so you could bring up this visible satellite view. And there we go. So you can see the upper low now is actually moved off screen as it's starting to move eastward fairly quickly. So once that pulled out, that really just opened the door wide open for the kind of day that I had today in my area. And you can see how clear it is on the satellite. Those clouds in upstate New York, this is just kind of the back edge of that upper low, and that's going to gradually pull away onto the east. So it's looking good for me for another couple of days. I'm thinking that I probably won't see anything with regards to showers here until maybe Friday. Some areas in upstate New York might get into it a bit on Thursday, but my general view is that, at least for me, shower and thunderstorm activity probably won't be an issue until very late Friday, or more than likely Friday night. So at least for tomorrow, looks just absolutely terrific as far as the weather's concerned, with this big high in the west wind. The sea breeze was kept at bay for coastal areas until mid or late afternoon, and that's a good thing. Tomorrow, same story. We're going to have high pressure off the coast, and you can see all these westerly isobars that run north of the high. That is keeping the ocean from getting too involved, and that's good. And also, the ridge is strong enough where much of the moisture and the thunderstorms and the blow-off moisture from the system that's out in the Oklahoma Panhandle here during the overnight, that's going by way to my north. So I'm not really too concerned. And I think the GFS, by the way, is really overdone with this. A lot of times in situations like this, if the ridge in the east is strong enough, usually what happens is that the model, the GFS in particular, has the showers a bit too far to the south. You can see the NAM is much further north here for Thursday, because that would be where it comes into play. I threw in the chance that there could be a late afternoon or evening shower. The southern edge of it just kind of pops up, a couple of them there. But the real activity is going to be to the north. And then it's later Friday into Friday night that we start to get a cold front through here. And if you believe the NAM, that front is very unimpressive. So I'm hoping that that is the case. I want to show you, by the way, with the big high that is off the east coast, we have what we would refer to as an inverted trough. And an inverted trough is, you can see this bulging in the isobars east of the Bahamas. The actual lower pressures here are more to the north, really, than they are to the south. When you have a regular trough, you get that sort of, V-shaped with the lower pressures, the V-shaped on the trough. This is in reverse, and you have a bulging of lower pressures up on the northern side, and this is usually what you see with tropical systems. This is probably not, it's not any kind of really tropical wave. It's just too early for that. But because you have the big high to the north and an easterly wind, if there's any kind of a kink in the upper air, it's going to create lower pressures. And that is what the GFS and a lot of the other models are doing. Now, some of that moisture is going to try to get entrained and move up the east coast over the weekend. I don't know how far north it's going to get. I'm thinking it may not be overly successful. So, but still, there's a lot going on here with a front coming down from the north and then another one behind it. and then this tendency for weak low pressure along the coast that it's kind of making my view of the weekend a little bit tenuous here. So just I'm going to lean on the optimistic side, but I have to acknowledge that there's a lot of stuff going on that could wind up altering the forecast when we get to the weekend. Meanwhile, as we look at that severe weather outbreak for today, and you can see it here reflected on the GFS with that 995 low in southern Colorado, and even some rain and snows, by the way, in Colorado and Utah and into northern New Mexico and Arizona. Now, that low starts to move to the east, and this is going to set up the severe weather outbreak for Wednesday night from much of central Texas northeastward on up into the upper Midwest. And then eventually the thunderstorm activity is going to start shifting eastward for later Thursday and for Friday. But how much there's going to be in the atmosphere for this to work on remains to be seen as far as I'm concerned. I'm not really overly impressed by what's going to happen to all of this when it reaches the East Coast. It's good that we're at least having some decent quiet weather here in the eastern part of the U.S. after all the nonsense that we had to deal with for the last month or so. This is a great stretch of weather. I hope some people took the day off today. Not that I'm encouraging that, but you know, if need be, not a bad idea if you want to cheat tomorrow and call in, let's say, not well, mental health day, blah, blah. Okay, so here's how the upper air looks like, what it looks like here going forward. There's your upper low sitting south of Nova Scotia. You've got a deep trough out in the west, and of course, in response to that, you get a big ridge that pops up in the east, but there's no blocking. Everything moves along, so you eventually do get a trough, and the flow becomes a little more northwesterly as we go through the weekend. So that hopefully will allow for some drying, and you can see the next disturbance early next week swings into play in the upper air with the trough coming down from Canada, from east of James Bay into the northern Great Lakes, and then that moves out, and then as we go through next week and beyond, it just looks to me like it's a rather progressive pattern. Weather systems moving right along. Big upper high builds, though, late in the forecast period as we get into mid-month. So we'll see if subsequent model runs go along with this idea. That could be, I just want to see what it's showing with the temperature anomalies. And hang on. This is being very evil on me. Just a second. There we go. So this is actually, as we go into mid-month, you can see where the above normal temperatures actually shift pretty far to the north. I'll run the anomalies through here as we go through next week because we are going to see some changes. So we know we're going to be above average for the rest of this week and into the weekend, and it'll start to cool off a little bit next week as these short waves come in through the flow, but everything is rather progressive, so eventually we'll wind up with a warm-up ahead of the next cold front going into the following weekend. And as we head toward the latter part of the forecast period, if that ridge is to be believed, building up to our north, that's going to shift the above normal temperatures basically from the northern mid-Atlantic states up into northern New England. We'll have the bigger departures above normal than areas to the south. So that's something we'll have to see if the models are correct on that. It could mean for some warmer weather as we head into the middle part of the month. It certainly, to me, would suggest that we don't have anything of real concern as far as extremely below average or extremely above average. Maybe what we're going to see going forward is a nice, gentle period of reasonable weather for this time of year. Maybe an unusual stretch where actually the weather could wind up being closer to normal. And Nick Cortese with a beautiful day, and thanks for the super chat hit, Nick. I really appreciate it very much. There you go. And got to get some fishing in for sure. 81 degrees in Lakewood, 78 starting to fall back. The sea breeze is coming in along coastal areas, but it took all afternoon for that to happen. So it's going to be another fight tomorrow. I think the sea breeze will probably hold off until late in the day in most areas. Patricia Owen, spring never seems to be too good for some areas. Poor suffering people with these terrible storms. I'm hoping we don't have earthquakes with the gases all over. Well, look, severe spring and severe weather go hand in hand, especially in the Midwest and in the plains. So this is what usually happens this time of year. You know, the atmosphere in a bit of a tenuous state, wanting to warm up with the strengthening sun. On the other hand, we still have the residual cold from the winter just past, and the battle zones set up where they set up. And as we go through May and into June, gradually those battle zones shift further and further north. But up until now, the severe weather season has been unusually quiet. So, you know, it was bound to pick up at some point. Matteo De Fiore, thank you very much for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really appreciate it. Good way to start the month of May. I got enough for a cigar on the drive home, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. I'm trying to get to everybody's questions here. Ciao bello, back at you. Keep up the great work from Garden City. Thank you very much. Really, very, very kind of you. Audible for the Kentucky Derby for me, I believe, has a chance. I have not looked at the field of either the Oaks or the Derby. There was one horse that kind of caught my attention before the Derby, and that was Enticed. I kind of liked him. I liked the way he looked. Did not have, I believe he got caught in the wood in the stretch by, was it Vino Rosso, I believe. You know, I used to be so good with this sort of stuff, and my brain is like jello. I do like the fact that Enticed is a Medaglia d'Oro horse, by the way, and I'm a big fan of Medaglia d'Oro horses, especially the females that he has produced, including Rachel Alexandra. He's just been incredible with the female side that he's produced. A number of Grade 1 stakes winners. The male side, not so much, but maybe this will break the streak for him as far as getting a Kentucky Derby winner in his mix. Haircut still looking fresh. Yes, it is, Shelly Man Studios. I still have, my hair grows very fast, and I probably will have to get a haircut in another couple of weeks. But for now, it is holding up, and that's good. It's also staying short, which I like, because this time of year, when it starts to get long, it bothers me. The Green Monkey's got a horse in this race, because the Green Monkey was that not that horse that they paid a huge amount of money for, and when they ran him, he just was a huge dud, if I remember correctly. But I don't know how he's been as a sire, but I'll check it out. I'll look at the. I'll make sure I give a close look to the. I usually like to look at the lineage to see where these horses are coming from, but I will definitely give it a look when I get a chance. Let's see, Israel. Someone asked me a good question. Do you know the answer? First off, he wants to know, how does rain fall as droplets as opposed to coming out of the clouds as a waterfall? Well, your condensation is into water droplets, except when it rains really hard and it kind of looks like a waterfall. If you're getting rainfall rates at some, ridiculous, some sort of ridiculous rate. I remember back a few years ago when we had one of these, really strong troughs that moved through in early August. It really sounded like, and it looked like somebody was pouring buckets out of the sky. But you only have so much moisture in the atmosphere, and it collects as droplets, and definitely not as a waterfall, except in cartoons. Have I fertilized my lawn yet? No, Nikki, I have not. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I've been crazy busy. Let's see. Cliff High said we will have rivers of atmosphere in his report. Okay, I'm kind of losing you there, Mateo. I'm sorry. Yeah, Anthony, don't worry. No hype here. You know that. That just doesn't happen here. 99 rolls. If the storms hit my area tomorrow morning, does that mean I won't get tornado or gusty winds later in the day? My area being in the Chicagoland area. Well, it's almost as if you're under a continuous risk there. If you get them early, you may very well still get them late, because there's a second shortwave that's coming out that's going to create that's going to create maybe a second round of severe weather. Okay, hang on. I want to give you the correct answer in a way that it's explained. So I'm going to just kind of paraphrase. Okay, so here's the deal. As far as droplets are concerned, it depends really on the temperature. Okay, so where those droplets do form is at the dew point. So when the temperature and the dew point are the same, we're talking about saturation here, where it gets to 100%. I'm reading off. I just did like a quick Google because I want to kind of explain. You're asking a rather intricate question in a sense. When surface temperature drops, eventually reaching the dew point, atmospheric water vapor condenses to form small droplets. So I'm not understanding. Your question is, how does it turn into droplets? Well, that's from condensation, Israel. You've got water vapor that condenses and forms droplets. That's just how it works. So I'm kind of confused as the whole analogy from the prior question with respect to this sort of waterfall thing. So how does it rain fall as droplets as opposed to coming out of the clouds as a waterfall? Well, it just can't form as a waterfall. They condense as droplets, and because you're going from water vapor, the molecules of H2O, they're small. I mean, we're talking small here in terms of condensation. It would take a lot to get enough raindrops big enough collectively in order to get all that water to come down looking like a waterfall. So I'm hoping that kind of answers your question with regards to that. The rain is as a result of the condensation. The clouds are condensed water droplets, and depending on the atmospheric conditions, those water droplets, if they get heavy enough, are going to fall to the ground. I'm going to check out your name on Equibase. Okay, Mateo, very good. Waterfall would be an instant flash flood. That's the other thing. Shellyman Studios is correct. If we had waterfalls coming out, we'd all be flooded away. So thankfully, nature's devised a way to bring down rain as droplets and not as some stream. Again, except in old Warner Brothers cartoons. Let's see. You wanted to be a jockey, Anthony, or you're way too much. Okay, understood. Just seeing. I want to get to make sure I got everybody's question. Yes, John Trabacchino, you were stuck in the big rain. I'm sorry, the big cold up there yesterday. Boy, I have to tell you, that just reminded me too. I mean, we had really temperatures today here, 30 degrees warmer than we were at this time yesterday. Some big temperature rises. And Mahogany 2680, 82 degrees in Ben Salem. Almost feel naked since we've been wearing coats for so long. Yeah, I've been so used to kind of grabbing my jacket every day, and today I did not, and definitely didn't need it. Hard to stay away from the wine, cheese, and pasta. Yes, I agree with you. No problem, Israel. Sometimes with the questions, my brain is is functioning the way it is in terms of forecast mode. So, you know, you're getting me to reach back sometimes to think about things that I haven't talked about or explained in a while. So I want to be very, you know, I want to be as precise as I can with regards to the answers to your, to whatever your questions are. You know, sometimes I'm not going to be able to give you the answers straight up until I can kind of digest what it is you're actually asking me. My high temperature today, I actually made it up into in the middle 70s where I live. It got to about 76 or 7 before the sea breeze came in, which it did do. The sea breeze did come in and cool things down. Got ocean water temperature still in the middle 40s, so it's very hard, even with a west or a west-northwest wind, for the sea breeze not to come in during the afternoon and evening on the south-facing shorelines, and even along the New Jersey shore. Although I think it probably held off a bit longer on the Jersey shore than it did in my neck of the woods. I appreciate it, Israel. No worries there. And I'm very happy that everybody's on board. Gets the meteorology, excites you, and causes you to get you to ask a lot of questions, and that's a good thing. Okay, just want to let everybody know 9:15 tonight is the Joe Cioffi show. I'm going to be out the next couple of days. I've got some stuff to do, so I'm not sure whether there will be a live stream Wednesday at the usual time. I may have to do it earlier in the day, but I got a few things to take care of. And also Thursday, there will be a little bit off on the live stream. That will probably come earlier in the day. The Joe and Joe show tonight at 9:15, and then we won't have one the next 2 nights. I'm not sure about Friday because we're both kind of on special projects over the next couple of days, so that's interfering with our schedule. But do tune in tonight at Facebook, on my Facebook page, Meteorologist Joe Cioffi, at 9:15. Also, I just want to, once again mention, I do have a link to Amazon. It is if you use that link, it is a great way to support my channel, and that is on the descriptor of this live stream and on the video that posts in the video library later on. I just want to disclose that, and disclose that Amazon, we are a participant in the Amazon Services Associates program, and it's an affiliate advertising program designed to provide a means for me, the person who's doing this show, to earn fees by linking to Amazon.com and their affiliated sites. And if you do use that link, great, and thank you. And if you don't, it's perfectly fine. Just putting it out there. Okay, have a great evening, everybody. Thanks for being here, as you guys usually are on a nightly basis. I really appreciate it. And we will see you either tomorrow or Thursday. Can't promise, but we'll see how it goes.